Well, I'm living here in Berlin since 60 years, and it's impossible to count everything what happened during this time here in this city. You know, it's also a very political place and a place where East meets West, and we have so many things happening here that it's impossible to speak about everything. But yes, I was influenced by electronic music from my early beginnings as a child, when I listened to very experimental music beginning in the late 60s, early 70s, you know, and yes, I followed any trend here during all the time. But of course, I don't love or appreciate every style of music which was created here. But everything is happening here. We have club music, we have techno, we have experimental sounds, we have more entertaining music. You can find here everything. And this is what this place makes so vital, because if you have an idea which you want to try out, come here and find your way. Everything is still possible. It's not easy to live in a city like Berlin. It's not easy to find your way, but you know, as harder the circumstances are, as more creativity comes to you, and maybe that's the way how to get ideas. So yes, I must say it's a place to be if you want to meet people, and same as with filming or other creative things. Art, in any case, if you want to meet people, if you want to make connections, if you want to build your network, come to Berlin. It's the best place. It happened that my cousin played to me music from Pink Floyd and from Kraftwerk first. And that was the moment where something happened in my mind, I must say, because that was the music I never forgot. And again, after that moment, and it was really an initial moment, I stole the nerves from my parents to get the first Kraftwerk LP. I collected my little money, and when I had this LP, the first Kraftwerk, it was the track Ruckzuck who influenced me very. It was the mixture of psychedelic and experimental music, and that was the way I wanted to go, and I followed it. And some years later, I learned and understood that the most interesting things, the most important music which influenced me, was happening in my town in Berlin. To be exact, it was in West Berlin, and I understood that Klaus Schulze came from Berlin, Tangerine Dream, Edgar Froese came from Berlin, Ashra Temple came from Berlin, Agitation Free. Michael Hönig, all these guys came from Berlin, and it was unbelievable for me, and I was somehow proud of that circumstance. And their music was the reason why I started to make also electronic music. And of course, I'm no pioneer. I'm not from the first generation, but I'm from the second generation. I'm one of the true believers and followers of this music. And yes, it was hard to realize and understand and accept that they changed their style also over the years, especially Klaus Schulze, who was the man who was able to fly, and he was the cosmic man for me, and it was something special in a city which was surrounded by a wall. I liked to escape, and I liked to look to the sky and listening to Klaus Schulze's music. That was a thing for me. It was like a mental escape. And when all those guys, my heroes, started to develop, that is completely okay, but I didn't want to accept it. And so it began that I became disappointed or somehow angry about it, and I said, no, this is my music. Berlin School of Electronic Music is this thing, and it should not die. And then I started to make music, and yes, I was also the opinion that the story was not finally told as a story of Berlin music, Berlin school music of I felt that I was able to add something to that, and so I started to make music. And now, more than 30 years after this initial decision for me, I must say, we came to a point where West Berlin, as a place of creativity, where everything was possible, that this place died when the wall came down. And it was at 1989, and today I realize that that was also the end of Berlin School electronic music. And so it should have been maybe better to have changed the style, to change the personal development a little bit earlier. I followed this path for a very long time. But anyway, decisions, you go left, you go right, what is wrong, what is right, I don't know. So all this kind of music died or ended at the end of 1980s. And as you maybe also know, that this was exactly the time when techno came up. It was in 1990. The guys like Dr. Motte were the most influential people for this music in those days. And you know, that also happened in Berlin. And it was another kind of electronic music. I had this moment in the year 2000 when the things came really down to me. It was, as you maybe know, I had my own label for electronic music, MI Records, which I still have. But it was a moment where it was economically really down. It was a time when internet came up, and when the guys were able to produce their own CDRs, print own music on CD. So, and then after that it came with the internet, so everybody could market his music on his own. And that was the beginning of the end of the record business as we knew it in those days before. And yes, as I said, I came economically down, and it was also the moment where I had to realize that there were not much enough fans for this kind of music which I made until then. And from 2000 to 2009. I did something completely different. I still had synthesizers and worked around a little bit at home, but I had a really normal job and had to care about my family, and I was really very private. And I thought that I have all this music stuff behind me. But I was really wrong, because if you feel something inside you, or if you follow a path, you never leave it. never leave it. And you can say, oh yes, I have behind me and I don't care, and my synthesizers are boring me, and so no, it's wrong. If you have something inside that tells you this is the most important thing in your life, then it is the most important thing in your life until your end, or until the end. And everything else is a lie. And so I felt I had to return to my profession, and I lost my job. I risked it and I lost it, and I decided to be a musician only. And since then I was more free and I was more open, because the Berlin school thing was really far away behind me. And I felt I had done something. If you remember in my record Wake Up in the Sun from 1987, where a piece is on it called Berührung. So that is a track which was where I tried out some classical structures, textures, you might say. And that was something that was inside of me, and I thought there's really high potential in this. So that is something which I like today, still again, a combination of electronic sounds and classic sounds. And I'm also a friend of melodies. That is something which I miss today in music. Most music is only based on sound and some experimental expressions, but it's not melodies. And melodies and harmonies is for me more important than anything else, you know. I wish you and your listeners all the best. Stay safe. Have a good time. Goodbye.